What's up, everybody? What's going on? We are live. You're over here. The camera's over here. All right. Hopefully, everything is coming through loud and clear. Getting everything set up here. Also, checking to see what kind of a delay we have on the stream. Looks like it could be 20 seconds or so. So bear with me here as I continue to get some things set up. Make sure everything is clean and clear for the stream tonight. It's been a long time since I've streamed on YouTube, so if you're new here and just checking stuff out, welcome. And would ask for your patience as we dial in some final things. I see a Ron Colson in the chat. What's up, Ron? How's it going? Thanks for hanging out. I am definitely going to be starting the movie a little bit later than 8 because I have some issues with my video playback here that I'm trying to resolve that just shouldn't be happening. Let's see. Let's see. All right, let's see if this works. So no worries if you don't have the movie tonight. We can still hang out and chat and talk about all the fun things. Sweet deal. That's all good. Thanks for being here and spending Saturday nights. All right. Hey, looks like one of those problems is solved. I think the last problem I have was audio on my end. I have to switch headsets here. Is this gonna work? So I had to rig up an old TV in front of me. I got my big monitor up here, and then I got a smaller monitor down here. All right, I need audio. Let's see. I may have messed some stuff up here during the setup. As you know, with live production, things go wrong all the time. This is one of those cases. See, that's what I want, but I don't want it to play audio. All right. Still need to send some live notices into the different social streams. Tell everyone that we're streaming here in just a moment. How was your Saturday, Ron? What have you been up to? Okay. Let me go back behind the TV here real quick. Fixed it. I had something plugged into the wrong port. So if that fixes it, then we'll be in good shape. Ah, jigsaw puzzle. How many pieces? We did a puzzle in June last year with our family, and it was like exhilarating. I haven't done a puzzle in so long, and we did it on a vacation, a big family vacation, and it was so much fun. Underestimate puzzles these days, especially when it's a cool image. All right, let's make sure I got sound here. Hey, I think we're in business. So what I do need to do is stop on 00. 1,000 pieces. Yeah, that was like the same size we did, and I feel like that's the perfect size. 1,000. Really good size. right. Cool. So we're ready to go. One thing I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna call. Let's do the live stream at 8:10. Or we'll press play on the movie at 8:10. That's 8 minutes from now. I'm just gonna share the live with some people, and see if we can get some more folks hang out with us. So one moment. All right, let's do. There we go. All streams. This is the first time I will have streamed from my new room that I redesigned in the last couple months that I've still been trying to set up. So getting all the equipment ready for a live stream is actually, I was like scrambling to get it all finished up like right before this, and clearly I was not as ready as I thought I was. Oh, it was a picture of a 4-shelf bookcase. Oh my gosh. So you've got a million pieces that all have books, like the ends of books on it, and they're just like the same colors and stuff. Goodness gracious. Okay. All right. Oops. Switch over to this. Oh, each shelf is a different color. Okay. Oh, nice. Way to go, Barb. Bring it home. Sweet. Almost ready to go here. Tweets. Tweet has been sent. Let's retweet that. Retweeted. And let's throw it up on Facebook too. Tony! Dude, yeah. I always knew you liked enjoying dumpster fires of movies, right? Welcome on in. Starting the Interstellar movie at 8:10 p.m. So I got like 3.5 minutes maybe. I'm just sending out a live notification on some social platforms really quick. I think the live stream delay might be somewhere around 10 to 20 seconds. I'm not sure how it's doing right now. Oh, this is annoying. All right, almost done. Here's the stream. Let's get this, share. Okay. There we go. Cool beans. Yo, what's up, YouTube? Oh, you can pin stuff. Nice. I'm gonna pin your Anne Hathaway comment in the chat. Because why not? Sweet. Well, 8:07. So I don't know. I know. Looks like we got 3 people in here. 1 is me. 2 are you guys. I'm gonna start the movie in exactly 2 minutes. I have no idea if any of you are gonna be watching the movie at the same time, but I am gonna start it then. And what I should do is I should start a watch clock too. Let's do that. All right, clock, stopwatch. Yeah, we'll do that. So we have a good run time so people can jump in. I'm excited. I'm excited to watch this. I'm going a little bit old school here for the sake of efficiency, but I have the Blu-ray of Interstellar handy in this special edition case because, you know, I have to go special edition. So I have the Blu-ray running through my Xbox One X up here, going into a TV in front of me here, and then I got my stream monitor up top on my computer because I wanted to separate the live stream from the video playback so that my live stream wouldn't hitch with streaming. Because I was going to stream, you know, from a different platform on my computer, but then I'd have to stream the movie and stream to YouTube, and that would just clog up the pipe. So I was like, just gonna separate it and have the movie play back smoothly on a Blu-ray disc. No streaming or internet connection buffering or anything like that. It should be flawless playback, and then my live stream is unhindered with any sort of issues. So we got 30 seconds, so we're gonna start the movie. Dude, pork shoulder. Yes. I just watched 20 seconds, by the way. I just watched Gordon Ramsay cook a pork butt, and it looked amazing. So I'm feeling the pork vibes with you, man. Must save the bandwidth, indeed. All right, here we go. Starting the movie in 3, 2, 1, play. All right, I'm at 3 seconds deep. Interstellar is rolling, and we're just gonna have some fun conversations and commentary about the movie. Thanks for bearing with me with the 10-minute delay here. It's gonna be a good time. Oops, forgot to start the watch, but that's okay. All right, I'm just not gonna touch the controller so I don't beef with that. All right. So Christopher Nolan directed this, and I have such an appreciation for Christopher Nolan films. He always pushes the boundaries with his films, and you know doesn't mess around. Every single movie he's done has been like a crazy mind bender. You know, some are better than others, and that's fine. You know, you're never gonna hit them out of the park every single time, but this by far is my favorite Christopher Nolan film. Let's see. You guys can see the TV a little bit there in the corner. Let's see. Yeah. So obviously it's about space, so I was drawn to it, but make sure I can still hear myself think. So the cast in this movie, of course, is insane. You know, Matthew McConaughey, Michael Caine, Jessica Chastain, Topher Grace, Anne Hathaway. I'll let Tony decide on that one. There's another surprise character I don't want to mention because spoilers. For anyone just joining, welcome in. We're watching Interstellar, and we've started the movie, and we are currently 2 minutes and 4 seconds deep into the movie. So yeah, killer cast in this movie, and Hans Zimmer does the soundtrack because he does every Christopher Nolan film, and he is arguably in the top three composers of our history, our recent history. They are stellar. That's right, Ron. The Superb Bowl, dude. Oh man, I would love to come over tomorrow. But Talia is a little bit under the weather, and I have to be home with her while Kayla works, unfortunately. But thank you for the invite, man. I would have otherwise if Talia were well. I love the way they started this movie with the sort of historical callbacks, the interviews, which makes it feel like a Band of Brothers like movie where they had all the veterans, but instead they're just ordinary people. The other thing that's crazy about this movie, and Christopher Nolan does this, is he switches between film formats. The 70 millimeter IMAX that fills the whole frame, and the normal like 35 millimeter or whatever it is, like the standard film, which you have like the letterboxing on the black bars on the top of the bottom, and those shots change based on the scale. I don't know why he decided to do that. It's such a strange choice, but it works. Oh yeah, John Lithgow's in this too. And Timothy Chalamet, he's a huge actor now. He's just young Tom, like the little brother or the older brother. I like never really knew much about Matthew McConaughey until I watched this movie, and now I'm just like a huge fan of his. I read his book recently, or I listened to it. I listened to an audiobook, and he narrates it, and his drawl is perfect to listen to, and he has some insane life stories. It's nuts. But he was the perfect choice for Cooper, no doubt. Well, and Christopher Nolan usually has his short list of actors that he pulls in almost every single movie he does. Cillian Murphy and Anne Hathaway. He's got a big turnaround. All right, all right, all right. Yeah, right. Exactly. If anyone's just tuning in, we're currently watching Interstellar, and we are 5 minutes and 10 seconds deep. It's like a 3-hour movie, so we're gonna hang out and watch the whole thing and have a good time. I thought that the age difference between Timothy Chalamet and Casey Affleck, I mean, the casting choice for the age difference was about as good as it could get. There's something about their mouth and their mannerisms that is so close. Even though now that Timothy Chalamet is a lot older, he doesn't look like Casey Affleck by any means. But I think at the time it was the perfect choice. And there's the drone. Nice. And there's more IMAX shots for those big sweeping aerial shots, and the one of them driving into the cornfield. It definitely opens your eyes more. Be like, hey, this is important. See the whole picture. And when the shots get more intimate, like a conversation, it's like, let's tighten it up. You want to see a big landscape? You want to see a big moment? Let's go IMAX. Yeah, I mean, the reality of this situation. Would you be able to take down a military drone with a little radar gun? It's beyond my knowledge and comprehension. So who knows if that'd be possible? But they seem to make it work. Like, what is Cooper computing in that moment? That's what I want to know. More IMAX shots. I think they shot most of this movie in Canada, or at least the house in the cornfield and stuff were in Canada. Talking about the Earth shots, of course, when they're actually still on Earth, but and yeah, looking at I mean, this movie came out in 2014, so I can't believe it's almost 10 years old. But yeah, I mean, just the technology. You got to think about what's happening here. So if this came out in 2014, and then it's supposed to be set in the future, even like a dystopian future, like a somewhat post-apocalyptic event, or they're kind of in the apocalypse, but like they're using 2014 technology in like 2040, So that old Dell laptop is kind of a relic, Yeah, dude, the facts about the black hole, I'll definitely get into that once we get to Gargantua, but yeah, you're right. It's pretty intense how in depth they got with the science. That line right there, the talking about the drone, like these things need to learn to adapt like the rest of us. Um, Sets the tone for Cooper's mentality for the first like 40 minutes of the movie. It's like kind of just giving up. Like, I used to be something, but not anymore. The old TV on the cart in the classroom here. So if that drone was still flying after all this time, and he says it's got good solar cells, is he talking about the PV cells, like the photovoltaic cells, or the actual like batteries in it? Because either way, if that thing was flying for 30 or 40 years, I mean that's got to be spent. Batteries and PV cells wear out. I would be curious to know some science behind that. The principal, I think he played MLK in the movie Selma. I never saw it, but I'm pretty sure he got cast as MLK, and he looks like him. I love that line where he's talking about why can't Tom go to college because he gets too low of a score in his exam, and Cooper asks him like, "Well, it takes two." He's like, asks him his pant size, and he's like, "You mean it takes to tell me it? You mean to tell me it takes two numbers to measure your keister, but only one to measure my son's future?" And I'm like, "Oh man, that just hits home because I have never agreed with that. Like, oh yeah, here's what you got in the ACT or whatever test they have now for at least when I was in high school was the ACT. That's how you get into college. And like one number is going to determine what kind of school I can go to, and even then, it's just a test. Like, I guarantee you that I am way more high quality of a person and way more intelligent than this test could ever make me seem. And now I'm limited to the schools I can go to because of some single number. And yeah, I just love that line. And I wish I knew it when I was a high schooler because I would have kept it in my brain. Unobtainium powered, yeah. For anybody just joining in, we're watching Interstellar, and you can join in too if you have it on your end. I can't show it, of course, because of copyright, so no audio or video can be shown from the movie, but I am watching it right in front of me. And if you have it on your end, I can tell you how far into the movie I am, and you can join in on your end. We can watch the movie together. We can just chat. So be sure to leave comments and questions in the chat. We can just hang out and watch a fun space movie. We are currently 12 minutes and 45 seconds into the film. I will try my best not to spoil anything for those who have not seen the movie. I have seen this movie probably 25 times, so I'm pretty well versed in it, but I'll do my best to be spoiler free along the way. Standardized testing does not determine successfulness, right? It's the worst. Nor does testing in general, I was a kid who did all his homework, but I would tend to struggle taking tests because there was just this, I like to take my time on stuff. I could get the right answers, it just took time, but if you gave me 50 minutes to take a huge test and I didn't finish it in time, does that mean I'm not smart? No, it just means I'm careful. So this is the point of the movie when things start getting a little bit like funky. This is our first interaction with the anomaly. The combines in the field start going haywire, and they're like, what's going on? So they actually built this house and planted all this corn for the movie. I think it's some plot of land in Canada, meant to be the United States, but they did it in Canada, and this didn't exist beforehand, and they built it for the movie. And the management of all the dust blowing around too. I mean, I can't imagine what that would have been like on a movie set with cameras and equipment. So of course, this movie is, above all, it's not even just a space movie. It's a movie about a father and his relationship with his daughter. And I've got a 3-year-old daughter, and the way I received this movie before I was a dad is quite different from now. And yeah, recently watched it, and I was like, man, this movie hits differently. It's a lot harder, especially as my kid gets older and she's more like Murph. you know What's crazy to think about is if you imagine this being about 2040, um, that means like someone like me would be maybe a little bit younger than Donald's character, like the grandpa. Maybe somewhere in between. Like if I were in this universe, I'd be a little bit older than Cooper and a little bit younger than the grandpa in this movie. But the way he talks about how every day there's like a new gadget, it's like Christmas morning. It's the way that things used to be. And yeah, I mean, it's basically what it is. Yeah, that's a huge line. We used to look up in the stars and wonder where our place was in the universe. Now we just look down and wonder where our place is in the dirt. And that's just like harkens to the question of like, are you willing to see past your circumstances and like, you know, become something better? But I think humans default to the latter. Never noticed that there was some cars driving around in the background of this popcorn and baseball scene here. I wonder if the people driving by on the day they were shooting this had any idea that Matthew McConaughey was over there in that little league field as they were shooting a movie. It's got to be freaky having sandstorms and dirt storms, dust storms, I guess you could say. Um, Kind of unthinkable nowadays, but I mean, the Dust Bowl and things like that just have to be terrifying. Never really thought about how the dust storms that they experience in this movie really sets up Cooper's character for some of the things that are to come, like the conditions and the environments he ends up in. I love that he has to kind of tell Murph, "You're not sleeping here anymore." Um, he doesn't understand what's going on, but he's like, "Yeah, it's just not okay to be in here. I need to figure this out." And this like macro focus shot here as it kind of like changes the depth of field over the dust. It's just crazy. Beautiful cinematography. The director of photography, Hoyt Van Hoytema, is that what his name is? Hoytman? Hoyt Hoyt Van Hoytema, yeah. Dude, I think, yeah, he did Interstellar. That guy, he did Dunkirk. He did Oppenheimer, the Christopher Nolan film that's coming out this year. Um, Ad Astra with Brad Pitt. He did Tenet, which is Christopher Nolan. I mean, he's got a crazy resume for beautiful shots. So, anyone just tuning in, if you're coming into live, we are watching Interstellar. I'm watching it on my screen here, and you're welcome to start it on your end and watch it at the same time if you want. I'm currently 21 minutes and 40 seconds deep. Let me know in the chat if you want me to read out the time so you can watch it. I love this part because Cooper sort of takes over and takes initiative. Like, I got to figure this out. I just love the freedom that he has to just go out and do something like this, you know? I swear, if my kid ever just ends up in my car while I drive away going somewhere, I will crash. She's like hiding in the back seat or something. Looking back at Matthew McConaughey's career, certainly with the Lincoln commercials, huge miss that he wasn't driving any Lincolns in this movie. I mean, I'd be terrified to like drive out into the middle of nowhere in the mountains to like have no idea what to expect, but to find a gate. Farmers in your hometown drove Buicks. Oh no way. Enter Anne Hathaway. Tony, it's your favorite person. Anyone just joining in, we're watching Interstellar. I'm watching on my end here, and you're welcome to start it on your end. And I put the start time in the corner. I started at 8:10 p.m. my time. Oops. So if you want to watch the movie on your end and scrub to that part, we're 27 minutes and 10 seconds deep. Also, say hey in the chat if you're hanging out with us tonight. Michael Caine is awesome. He's in friggin' every Christopher Nolan movie. And how old is Michael Caine right now? He's like 92 or something. Let's find out. Oh, he's 89. Okay, close enough. 3 years off. But yeah, he still doing movies and still being awesome. He was the perfect Alfred for the Dark Knight trilogy. Also Christopher Nolan. What's up, Kiffer? Thanks for dropping by, man. James, good to see you guys in. What up, what up, what up? Watching Interstellar. I know it's a Saturday night and there are probably way more interesting things to do, but if you are bored and want to watch, you can start it on your end, and I put the start time in the upper corner so you can catch up. You can like scrub to that point and watch along with me. Otherwise, you can just hang out and we can just you can listen to me babble about the movie as I watch it. I love this movie so much, though. The hesitation for Professor Brand to not say that the world is ending in front of Murph rings true throughout the movie. Of course, there's a moment where that comes up again, but I it's a very crazy thing to be talking about out in the open. The one thing that is a little unbelievable is clearly Michael Caine's hair is dyed to make him look younger. It's pretty noticeable because he's just old, you know. So if this was, he would have been, gosh, 78 at the time of this movie, or what's the math on that? He's 89 now. 70. Oh, he'd be 80. He would have been 80. So 80, and yeah, you just can't really cover that up. He should have gray hair when you're 80. Well, and we hadn't quite gotten to the point in cinema where we've been able to do deep faking, like in Star Wars, like to bring characters back, or de-aging, like they did with Sam Jackson and uh, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on Marvel? Captain Marvel. I like how Romilly and Doyle are the only two people that stick around in NASA. The other guys, older guys that were giving Cooper a hard time, were like all business, and then they just disappear. No, you don't see them again in the movie. 48 years ago, the wormhole appeared. And there's, a shot of Miller whose planet they go to, but she's already dead. So it's the only shot you get of Miller, you know, in the entire movie. Sorry, that was a spoiler. Soon to be found out, though. Is the actor that played Doyle in other things that are like popular? I don't know what his name is. Let's find out. Wes Bentley, American Horror Story, Yellowstone, American Beauty. So he's been some big stuff. Ghost Rider, Hunger Games. Yeah, he's been in a lot. Yeah, good question. Anyone out there who's watching who has not seen the movie, because then I can just speak freely about it if that's the case. Otherwise, I will use discretion. I think the reason I like this movie is because they're under this pressure to solve the impossible. Otherwise, everybody dies, you know. And I just like to think that that be the case in real life, that we would try to do the same if we had that pressure. But you know, otherwise we're just comfortable here. If there's the threat of existence isn't pushing us along. Hey, Greg, what's up, man? Yeah, did we? Were you? I know I saw it twice in theaters. Once with my dad, and then was the other one with you? I'm trying to. That would have been, yeah, better part of a decade ago. I think I'm recalling it now. Were we like really close to the screen in the front, like near the front of the theater? Am I remembering that correctly? I love that Donald has like no idea what happened, and to see Cooper come in and like hit him on the shoulder and be like, "Hey, like I got this. I'll handle her." Uh, you know, they don't see eye to eye, but they are in a matter of a second have to communicate like, "Hey, I see you, you see me. Like, let's put aside our little bit of a you know quarrel of a relationship, and then got a bigger problem. You're just taking care of Murph." Yeah, dude, Greg, that music, you can listen to the soundtrack forever. The cornfield chase song, of course, is legendary, and certainly on social media. I know on TikTok, it's like the most used and abused track for like space videos, and I'm guilty of using it myself. Man, Cooper, you're making me thirsty. Space Trucking by Deep Purple. Yeah. Kayla just brought that up to me the other day, actually. Yeah, the organ. I mean, what a weird choice, and very against the grain. Because you would normally only assume that organ means church, you know? I always thought it was interesting the difference in color of the skin between the actress who plays young Murph and Matthew McConaughey. McConaughey is like orange, and this young actress is like pale white. Yeah, good question, Greg. So I started at 8:10 p.m. So I'm currently 40 minutes exactly deep into the movie. So this is the part where Cooper is saying goodbye to Murph, and she's trying to get him to stay in her bedroom. So right before the launch scene. So current runtime is 40 minutes and 15 seconds. So one thing that's a bummer about this event tonight is trying to watch it with you guys, but I still can't show it. You know, copyright is a rough thing to deal with. But if you're just tuning in, you know, and you're new to the channel or anything like that, thanks for joining and hanging out. You know, this is the first time I've done a watch party like this. I've done live streams on YouTube before. I do live streams on TikTok quite regularly now, and you know, just doing something different. I wanted to try and to bring back the YouTube live streams because I used to do them weekly and then monthly, and then I kind of just stopped. But trying something different felt like the right thing to do. And even though I can't show the movie, you know, the whole like syncing up thing, like most people have access to all the streaming services, or you know, even still have their DVDs or Blu-rays. So I figure the chances are pretty high that if you really wanted to watch the movie, that you could find a way to do it. Otherwise, totally fine with you guys just hanging out, engaging in conversation. I'm watching the chat and the live stream, just so I can see everything that comes through. So you have questions about the movie or just want to hang out and talk space, let me know. This is the part of the movie the music starts getting nuts. The mix just gets loud. Just realized the door handle on the driver side of the truck is completely ripped off. I never noticed that. More IMAX shots. We're getting back to the IMAX. I love that it's basically a Saturn V that they're launching on. They either rebuilt one or they're using an old NASA one. They just lifted off, Ron. Sorry, just saw your message there. So they're currently on ascent. Tars is the best. I would love to have a robot like Tars. Okay, so they just made it to space. That's where we are. Time code is 43 minutes and 38 seconds. And the use of practical models, for the ships and stuff, was such a good choice as a film, studio, um, using CG to enhance, but not as a crutch. Would have been really easy to make all these ships in CG and just have really cool, epic scenes, but nope. You got to have these really close-ups of practical models that look great, and they're really big too. They weren't like toys. They were like these massive models, and they were up close. You got to go to the bathroom. Can we stop? Are you trying to be the kid in the back seat, Ron? 90%. Even to like where they did like weightlessness, like this shot here with Anne Hathaway of her kind of like doing this, like if you are in a spaceship and you're weightless and you're moving, you're just gonna keep going. You're not gonna dip and dive. Like that was clearly these strings, pulling her along. Love this shot of the Ranger docking to the Endurance space station. So cool. Again, practical effects, real lights, real models, making it look way more real. I should rewatch the behind the scenes sometime soon because they did some really good stuff. How's the stream looking on your guys' end? Is it smooth? Everything not hitching? It looks like I've had a green light with a high bit rate the whole time so far. So hopefully everything is looking good, sounding good. And they've docked. What other space movies should I watch? I want to find a space movie that I've not seen. So if you guys have recommendations, oh, you know what? You know what's probably at the top of my list? And Ron, you're probably gonna, give me a hard time for this, but I have not seen the original Right Stuff. Um, so I think it's my duty as a space enthusiast to watch the Right Stuff. So maybe one that we should do recently, or do next. Up next is something I have not seen. Thanks, James. Appreciate the affirmation. James, you seen this movie, Interstellar? I can't remember if we've talked about it. So the cool thing you can see in these scenes as they're going around the Endurance space station, that was kind of a production fun fact, was they designed the ships to not be these like big super futuristic craft, that they wanted it to look a little bit more like it was, hey, the world is falling apart and we used what we had left to make a spaceship. Like all the little electronics and the seats, they're like old fighter pilot seats, and there's like old laptops, and it looks a lot like the space station, like the International Space Station. I hope they make a spaceship like the Endurance someday, man. Okay, so you have seen it, but been a while. Cool, cool, cool. Your algebra professor would use you oh, he would use it in his lessons. That's crazy. Dang. How would he do that? Like, what do you remember? What some of the examples were, or just like you just remember that it happened? Cool, 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 cool. The other thing too was like the efficiency and the use of space in the spaceships. Like everything had like two purposes or more. You know, like a seat wasn't just a seat; it had pockets for storage in it. Later, you see a TV monitor. Well, they could flip it over, and the back was a whiteboard. It was like use as much space as possible that you can. Really cool production design. Also, why did I know Bromley was smart and they had to bring him, but like, couldn't they have trained someone else who to be smart to go that wasn't like motion sick? You know? Oh, I got something in my eye. And you get your first taste of the rocket boosters or the thrusters on the ship, like throwing them back into their seats. And this shot of the Endurance like pulling away from Earth. Oh my gosh, makes me want to rewatch 2001. It's been a long time. I just remembered he tried to use it a lot to keep content fresh and interesting. He was one of my favorite teachers. Nice. Okay. Yeah. Well, this movie came out in 2014, so you know, gosh, I don't know like what year that was for you, but that makes sense. Some astronauts do get sick at first. Yeah, that's true. That's a good point. It does take time to acclimate. I don't know if they take meds though. Do they take meds? Maybe they do. I love the little shudder that Doyle gives when he sees Romley go under for the deep freeze or the deep nap, the long nap. Um, it's like this tiny glint of humor that his character is such a stiff, you know, and kind of follow the rules, stick to the mission, and and they give him this tiny bit of levity. The shot of the Earth spinning in the window is so cool, and I want to say that was practical too. For anyone just joining, we are watching Interstellar. We started at 8:10 p.m. my time. So if you want to watch it on your end, we are currently 52 minutes and 20 seconds deep. So you can catch up. This is one of those movies, you know, that you can just watch over and over again and still notice new things. Man, I want them to make like spinning space stations so bad in real life. I want to know how those cryopods work. Like they like put them in a bag that's like half in water and like half out of the water, and then they freeze them. Like what is that? Like what was the logic behind that? What made them think that that's what they should do? How does that work? The use of the soundtrack right here makes you feel like you're far away. I love it. And the shot of the Endurance just going into space, like oof. Slow metabolism, yeah. So does it like decay like the consumption of energy? Um, yeah. I wonder if people are actually working on stasis and cryostasis technology for humans. Oh, to induce hibernation. Okay. Ooh, this is the shot of them flying past Saturn right now. Just a chilling piano. Man, to be that close to the rings. And just how tiny the ship is compared to the planet. Ooh. I love how many docks and ports there are on this space station. There's just a ton of them, showing that it's modular and flexible. Lord of the Rings, yes. Lord of the Planetary Rings. Just realized if any of you are tuning in who have no idea what we're doing, it just looks like I'm staring into oblivion or falling asleep, which I'm not. But I'm watching Interstellar here in front of me. So Cooper gives him the headphones with the like thunderstorm sounds, the crickets and the fields and the sounds of Earth. Like I can't imagine how important that's got to be to like invoke your primal nature of comfort. Especially as you're cruising past a foreign planet that would just merely kill you. Flying, frying bacon would be your choice. I read that as flying bacon, and I thought, I guess if it isn't, if you have bacon in space, it would be flying bacon. But yes, the sound of frying bacon, excellent idea. See, the problem with flying through interstellar space is knowing that you can never have a fresh pizza. I want to bring a fresh pizza to space. The visualization that they made for the wormhole is so cool. It's like a shiny marble. So 12 different ships went in. Like, did they send 12 ships just like the Endurance, or 12 smaller ships? That's my question. Because they all, like, they show later that there's like these big habitation pods that they clearly needed bigger ships for. So NASA in an apocalyptic world had enough resources to build 12 Endurances. You know, it's just crazy. And to pretty much launch them all at once. Going through the wormhole. Hard to fathom just how fast they're moving, traveling, like, you know, through a higher dimension. You thought the way that they depicted going through wormhole was a bit underwhelming. How could they have done it different? You know, yeah, it's a weird thing. Like, it's kind of this blobby tunnel, but it looks like a curved tunnel. Um, I don't know how we would have done it differently, but my guess is they wanted to steer clear of it looking like hyperspace or warp speed. You know, wanted to try to have a more real edge to it, and maybe real meant not looking smooth and clean. Like, it's like Star Wars hyperspace, you know, just looks sci-fi. If they did that, then they would probably lose the plot a little bit. So yeah, I don't know. I love how you can see all the nebulas that they have in this new galaxy that they're in. Um, and man, just the thought of thinking that you're going to pop up in a different galaxy somewhere, um, and where that thing is and what it looks like, and nothing is familiar. No star patterns, no constellations, no familiar nebulae or anything like that. It's just like totally new gas bubbles somewhere else. This is the scene I was mentioning earlier where they repurposed, you know, the TV to also be a whiteboard. Like, it's hanging from the ceiling on like a bracket, and then the TV just flips over and there's a whiteboard on it. Every hour, 7 years on Earth. Just insane. Ron, did Barb finish the puzzle? Is it done? One thing that movies don't get right a lot, in particular space movies, is the crews are always in such disagreement, and uh, they're very diverse, in terms of like trains of thought, and this movie does it better than others. But there was a show that I watched or tried to watch. I watched the first episode. It was like a space show on, gosh, I don't know, Netflix or something, and it just totally was unrealistic. Like all the crew were like, there's like us and them and enemies, and discussions that were like filled with vitriol and disgust. I'm like, this is not how crews work. You get vetted as astronauts to be cooperative and understand the mission, and you train for the individual parts of it. And granted, this movie is kind of ragtag and like, hey, we just got to get this going. We don't have time to train. So I'll give it some grace. But the other movies and shows that have like shown these like, oh well, the Russian is always the bad guy, and he's they're butting heads all the time. Like, it's just unrealistic. And of course, you got to have drama and make drama for movies and shows. I get that, but sometimes like you also have to pay attention to how things really are. Oh, it'll be finished tomorrow. Okay, cool. 1/4 left to do. Nice. Good work. Man, also the silence of space that they show in this movie is just so cool. There's Gargantua. Ugh, terrifying. So if it's absorbing a star, the black hole, and it's sucking it up, wouldn't it be as bright as a star? You would not be able to look at it. you know, um, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, it just seems like it'd be impossible. And yeah, what that would be like to see from the planet's surface, would it be like a sun, or could you look at this giant black hole? Like, who would want to live on a planet like that? In case the robot is also an awesome character, that he's this sort of calm and collected, more reserved, yet like intellectual robot, whereas Tars is kind of more like the meathead. See, that was a line that I just realized that I'd never noticed. He like asks if Case has a fix on the beacon, and he said, "Yeah, but we need to make a maneuver." And I never realized that that's why Cooper needed to do the air brake to get down to the beacon. That he was coming in at the wrong place, which is pretty realistic. And I don't know why I never noticed that line. Sometimes you're just so focused on a moment that you don't listen to dialogue in a movie. Also, the practical effects of the ship, they used a real full scale 1-to-1 scale ship for the Ranger to like drop it into the water on location. Doyle's face. He's always like, "Did you just do that?" You know. Also, how do they know that the land was like, you know, a foot underwater? Huge risk to be like huge body of water. Let's just land in it and hope we don't float away or sink. I suppose it is the future, and they do have like probes and like scanners that can determine, I don't know, water depth or something. 130% Earth gravity, so 30% more intense than Earth. It would be oppressive. Just seeing how high the waves can be on this Miller's planet, swallowing up the clouds, you know, it's just terrifying. You have to imagine, like, I know that scientists have said that's not possible, but you'd have to imagine that somewhere in the universe, with the scale of the universe is, it's possible somewhere, you know? Can you imagine how frustrating it'd be for Cooper to, like, try to get people back into the ship when it's about to get crushed by a wave, you know, the size of a mountain? Also, like, Case, the robot, like, in 130% gravity, like that robot was built for Earth gravity. So did he have the servos and the energy and the torque to be able to operate in an environment like this? I always was curious about that. Doyle could have survived if he had just run back to the ship and let Case do his job, but he instead just wanted to watch. You know, bit of a bummer. I also want to know how Doyle actually died. Did he like hit his head? You know, it's possible. But I mean, if he just like ended up in a wave, like when he just get brought underwater, and he's in a spacesuit, so he's got something protecting him. He can breathe. Um, it's not like he drowned. He must have had like a head trauma or something. I can't imagine being helpless and seeing your spaceship become a water sled. You know, The sinking feeling you must feel when you learn that you're going to lose decades of time. Current runtime of the movie, um, we are 1 hour and 15 minutes exactly into the movie. So we're not quite halfway. Appreciate every one of you guys hanging around here, even if you're just like letting the video run in the background, and that's a huge help. Just getting some runtime is a big deal. So thank you guys very much. I like that Cooper kind of figures it out right here. He kind of hits the nail on the head, but doesn't quite know it yet. I love the line where he talks about how to he like is where are we scene wise? So the Cooper and Brand just had a big deep conversation about how much time is passing and what they need to do next, but now the next wave is coming through and they're about to take off and get off of Miller's planet. And they escaped. So now they're going to find Romilly, and there's Doyle's uh, body. Gosh, 23 years on a ship. How did they have? I guess he did go into like cryo sleep. I was like, how do you have that much food? Like 23 years, and Romilly didn't have a single like medical issue, that would have been like life threatening. I guess he wouldn't get sick because he's not with other people. I guess like his own waste or byproducts could be something that might hinder his health. Now the infamous Cooper crying scene that has become a legendary meme, hence my thumbnail for this. I thought it was the most recognizable image from this movie, and people would be more drawn to it. I can't imagine watching 20 years of communications. Would be overwhelming to see 20 years of your life just catch up to you. What an amazing scene. I mean, whoever in the screenwriting process thought, let's sit him down and have him just be like a waterfall of tears, as he watches his kids grow up in 20 minutes. he You can see grown-up Tom introducing his first baby Jesse to the camera, and I know the line where he's like, we wanted to call him Coop, but uh his wife wouldn't let him. But I just heard it totally differently because I'm not listening to it as loudly as I usually would, and it sounded like we wanted to call him Poop. I was like, well, I mean, babies do that, but it's probably not a good name. I like that Cooper sheds a tear for Donald when he finds out that the grandpa dies. It's a good thing that Tom, the son, was like keen about sending messages. Can you imagine if all of them were like, yeah, just forget about it? But can you imagine like 20 years later still having interest in recording messages? Like, I can't imagine 20 years ago wanting to like write a letter and be like 20 years later, like, oh yeah, I'm still writing letters to somebody who's not responding. I guess if it's your dad and the chance that he's alive, I think you'd probably have more incentive to do that, right? I've never been in that situation. Like, hey, my dad is like thousands of light years away. you know. I also thought the actresses that they chose for Murph also physically appeared to be, really, really good matches. Jessica Chastain was a good choice, and I think this was a really defining role for her career too. She got cast in so many things after this. She was even in The Martian, um, which came out just a few years after this, and I think she definitely did a better job in this movie. Um, I also think some of the dialogue didn't help in The Martian. The Martian was a really fun movie, and I love it. I watched it several times, but I think they did. There's some scenes where the dialogue just seems kind of amateur. So I don't think they did her character any favors in that movie. There's Michael Caine with hair not dyed. So now we can kind of talk a little bit about the back end of this movie. So they based a lot of the theory or like the science on the theory by theoretical physicist Kip Thorne. The idea for wormhole travel and black holes and all that. It's about where my knowledge stops on that subject, but it was really cool. Did I lose the stream? Am I there? Can you guys see me? I can hear my kiddo crying in the other room. I am gonna throw a Be Right Back screen up, but I'm gonna let the movie run. So I'll be right back, everybody. So hang tight. All right, I'm back. Thanks for the patience there. My daughter is sick, and she's just been crying a lot and not being able to sleep. So luckily, Kayla was home. She could go get it. So we're still watching the movie here. They're trying to decide which planet to go to next, Edmund's planet or Dr. Mann's planet. No, they're talking about Dr. Brand being in love with Wolf Edmonds. Oh, okay. Sweet. Good to know. Current runtime of the movie is 1 hour, 28 minutes, and 37 seconds. Nearing the halfway-ish mark, I think. Let's see. The truth bomb that Cooper drops on Brand right there. Talking about how, love might be the bad call. He's both right and wrong, so, but it costs him his relationship with Brand here. Just notice that Tom's hat, they're back on Earth here and they're burning the crop because they're losing it to blight. Like, Tom's hat says Case on it, which is funny because his name is Casey in real life, and there's also the robot Case. And they're sitting there eating dinner. Everything is corn based. Like, corn on the cob, corn fritter, corn whatever it is there. Like, there's, man, all corn diet. Man, how long is that going to last? It's just like sugar. The editing in this scene where their kids coughing, Tom's boy is coughing. There's like, he's like hacking up a lung, and then instantly he's like, it's the dust. Like, as an explanation, he didn't look like he was reeling from a cough or like he just coughed, like his eyes aren't watering. It was like the dust. Like, it was, I feel like, too fast of an edit right there. Man, so Cooper just told Dr. Brand that it wasn't a personal decision, deciding to go to Dr. Mann's planet instead of Edmund's. And, she just gives him some straight sass, which I get it. It was a hurtful decision, but sometimes the reality, you got to do better and, go with the decision of the commander, right? Yeah, I guess you're right. That's a good point, Ron. Can't imagine the emotions of getting to your destination and finding it not suitable and being all alone. Easy to go mad. Yeah, for sure. And we'll see that shortly on Dr. Mann's planet. Um, but knowing that the person that you like are in love with being, on a different planet, you're not allowed to go to that one. That's gotta probably be pretty insane. So now we're at the scene where Professor Brand is telling Murph that he like lied about his data. So now that Professor Brand is basically dying, like, it's almost like him telling the truth is the thing that killed him, or maybe living a lie, because they don't really tell you why he started dying, other than just being old. But I can't imagine, like the stress of living a lie that large. If you're just tuning in, welcome to the stream. We're watching Interstellar here, doing a little watch party, and I started at 8:10 Central, so we are currently 1 hour and 33 minutes and 55 seconds into the movie. If you want to watch on your end, you can start the movie and scrub to that part. We're kind of trying to keep it spoiler free here. We are kind of discussing the movie as it goes, but sometimes things pop up that are a little bit further ahead. So if you're watching along, hopefully you have seen the movie. If not, just let me know in the chat, and I will temper my discussion a little bit. So now we're about to land on Dr. Mann's planet. Get a little bit of like horror vibes in this scene, where Murph sends the message just at the wrong time, that everything was a lie, and they go down to the planet. Imagine if they had made that decision, had got Murph's message, and then decided not to go to Man's planet. How would that have changed things? Dr. Man would just been left there. Crazy. Also, they like hit this frozen cloud with the ship as they're flying through the clouds. What is a frozen cloud? How does basically mountains of ice stay like floating? I don't understand that. And how do they hit the ship and not deal any damage to the ship? That's the reason why Columbia blew up. Shuttle Columbia is because they had damage to the ship. So when you're like re-entering an atmosphere, yeah, I don't understand it. It's a weird bit of science fiction. I feel like maybe they could have left out. Beautiful planet that they made here, this ice planet. I think a lot of this was shot in Iceland. I love that Dr. Man's HAB module is basically being swallowed up by the ice. Dr. Man. I'm glad the defrosting of Dr. Man actually worked, because he like had no power or limited power. The resources were dried up. He ran out of food, and everything is in such disarray and cold. Like to see that the cryo module was actually still working, and even to turn the knob in the frozen environment, that couldn't have it might not have worked. Surprise, it's Matt Damon. Matt Damon. Got to be terrifying to wake up after being so hopeless and to see people. Also, Matt Damon and Jessica Chastain being in The Martian together, and kind of being very different characters, but still being spacefaring people. And just to think about the people in this scene, like Matthew McConaughey, Matt Damon, Anne Hathaway, like big time actors all in the same scene. 'Matt Damon is describing the planet, and as he's describing it, it's just like cold, dark, and barren. And they zoom in on Cooper, realizing, oh gosh, I made the wrong decision. you know, 80% of the Earth's gravity. I wonder what that'd be like. Like holding up this controller, probably wouldn't feel that different. But if you were to go up and pick up a rock, it might make a big difference at 20%. Probably be enough to throw you off from running properly. So, fun fact, Matt Damon's robot, Kip, Kipp, was named after Kip Thorne, who the theoretical physics was modeled after in this movie. I like that they're kind of hopeful right now. They got all this good information about a potential new world. And then there's this message from Murph that comes through. Here comes the big reveal. If you're still hanging in the chat, would love to say hey to you. If you're out there, say hi and let me know what you're up to tonight. Current runtime on the movie that we're watching, Interstellar, we're 1 hour and 41 minutes and 53 seconds deep. So I think we're well past halfway now. What is Mars gravity? Good question. So I want to say it's like 30%. I remember that correctly. 33%. I'll look it up. %38% that of Earth. Okay, yeah, so pretty close there. So you'd be a heck of a lot lighter on Mars. Welcome to anybody joining. We're just watching Interstellar. I've got it playing right here. We're trying to time it up if you want to watch the movie alongside me. We're a little over halfway the movie. Otherwise, we're just hanging out and talking about the movie as it goes on, discussing the production of the movie or the drama and the scenes. Like there's a close moment there where they almost squeeze in an F-bomb. And I think they do get one in there, which is the PG-13, one F-bomb. I think they have a little bit later. One thing I wish I had right now was some popcorn. But I don't want to stop the movie to go make it. But maybe later I'll go make some popcorn. Hey Ron, there's Todd Catter in the movie. Topher Grace is a celebrity lookalike. With movies, it's so funny. If you watch an intimate scene between two people having a really intimate dialogue, if you were to just sit in the car, like it's like Murph and the doctor, like her doctor friend, or sit in this car having this conversation, like really powerful, deep conversation. But if you were sitting there with them, it probably would have been really corny, because like the presence of being in acting is just weird in real life. But as soon as you put it in a localized camera frame at a certain frame rate and you colorize it, it suddenly becomes engaging and deep and rich. Movie making is so strange, but such a wonderful art. Also, the fun fact, I think the kids that they show in the truck that are dealing with the dust next to them, I think are Christopher Nolan's kids, or at least the daughter is, I think. Or the girl is his daughter, I think. So pretty cool there. Romilly is awesome. He's kind of the unsung hero of this whole movie. Rumley is kind of ruthless here, willing to send TARS into a black hole for the data. TARS has a lot of value and is a big asset to the crew, and they're like, yeah, you can just use him as a probe. Does he move like Todd? That I don't know. Man, the landscapes that they got for this movie are insane. I think some of these are, CG augmented, like they're like set extensions. So they recorded them in like a really cool place, but they added on to it. The relationship that Cooper and Case have about piloting is one of my favorite parts of this movie. You better slow down there, Turbo. Reckless flying and all that. I like how the little boy is telling Murphy that he doesn't touch her stuff in her old room. I'm like, it's been like 25 years. Like, how has nobody updated that room? you know, like arm thrusters that they use to like rock it down. That's such a cool idea. Survival instinct is the single greatest source of inspiration. Like, yeah, what a line. Hey James, thanks for tuning in, man. Have a good night. Say hey to Sinedra. Take it easy, man. Ron, are you serving tomorrow? Or are you off tomorrow? Dr. Mann's character has that like kind of attitude of if I just will it, if I have a strong will, I'll will success into my existence, into reality. Production wise, one thing that bugged me about this fight scene in the snow is they slide on the hill and there's clearly this huge drop off, and then a second later they cut to it and there's no drop off. It's like this big plane. Also, it's like really sunny in this shot, and the next shot it's like overcast. There's the f bomb, the one PG-13 f bomb they can get away with, and it's even kind of muffled. There's the wide shot. They're like wrestling in this like big open plane. And yeah, there's a drop off to the right, but there's no hill that they like slid down and then the drop off. It's just plane and then drop off. So I think the consistency in that, the continuity was a little bit off there. Oh, nice. You're cam wrapping. Cool, cool, cool. Things are starting to get tense now. Cooper and Man are fighting and getting close to one of my favorite scenes of the whole movie, the docking scene. The sound design is pretty good in this scene where you can hear the like leaking in Cooper's helmet as it's cracked and this like noxious air is coming in, but like it's clearly just a tube going like someone who was recording like the sound design for it. So Murph is looking at those kids again as they're driving away into the Dust Bowl, and they're like, she kind of realizes, I need to fight for the future of these children. You know, just like Cooper is seeing his kids right before he might die. You know, that whole thing that Dr. Mann goes on about. What's up, Andrew? Hey, man. Welcome to the stream. We're still watching Interstellar. Let's see. What's the math thing? We're almost 2 hours into the movie. How's it going in CO? Yeah, we got some Willow folk in here. So let's see. Yeah, this stuff's about to get good. How was service tonight, Andrew? The piano music in this section of the movie is just crazy. I like how fluttery and like they use the whole keyboard, just like top to bottom. Oh, that's awesome, dude! Barnes and Noble for the win. That's awesome. Oh, kaboom. Yeah, Romilly just blew up. So like Cooper just like inhaled a ton of ammonia, like, and he's breathing oxygen and stuff. But like, if he had several minutes of ammonia, what does that do to a body? Does he have sickness? Does he get stuck in there? Like, is there a certain amount you can have before it starts harming you? I just don't know. The best part of Barnes and Noble is going to the little kids section and looking at the children's books. That's like pure magic. Barnes and Noble. So much nostalgia and fun. But I like how a lot of the Barnes and Noble had to counter with like a toy section. You know, they have collectibles and Legos and all this stuff. Like, it's like it was like their response to, you know, they just couldn't sell books only. They had to have like broaden the spectrum to bring people in. One thing I like about the scene of the Tars was like I couldn't save Romilly. Like, you know, that's I think there's some point in the movie, if you're watching it for the first time, that you would have been like, are the robots gonna turn on them? But at that point, you're like, nope. I think they're good. They're helping the humans 100%. Like, you can kind of cross it off out of your mind that like Tars and Case aren't gonna turn on the humans. They're like fully devoted. Well, it's easy to spend $1 million at Barnes and Noble when a hardcover book is like $39. You know. What's your trust setting, Tars? Lower than yours, apparently. I love that line. All right, here's the best scenes in the movie. Here is Dr. Mann trying to dock to the Endurance and the subsequent problem. Just noticed a thing in the movie there. They showed a shot of the spaceship in the foreground, the planet, and then like the night sky, and there were stars in the background. And I was like, oh, they had an error there because you wouldn't see the stars if you're exposed for the planet. But then I looked and the planet was overexposed, so that was actually really accurate visuals. So I love that. It's super cool. Is everyone watching on their own while you watch? Yeah. So that was kind of the hope. I'm not sure if there's anyone else out there actually watching it, but I did put a start time in the corner and tried to be like, hey, if you're want to watch with me, you can start it at this time, and then we started it at the exact minute. Been trying to make call outs for anybody who wanted to join in later, but at the very least, we're all just hanging out, you know. Half price books is a gold mine if you think about it. There are some awesome gems. And maybe not even just for books though. Like, I went in there and got the VHS of Star Wars, like the versions that I used to rent from Blockbuster as a kid for like $3, and they're in impeccable condition. So they have some good gems in there if you're looking really closely. Matt Damon. This is the one time that I feel like the practical effects in this movie didn't shine. Was they're docking the ship and you can see them kind of like backing in and out, trying to like dock properly, and it looks like it's something on a stick, you know. Orbital mechanics probably wouldn't look like that. It'd be much slower, and I know he's in a rush, but it just like you can just tell it looks like it's a prop moving. It didn't look very real to me, but all right. We're 2 hours and 4 minutes into the stream. 2 hours and 5 minutes. Exactly. I love the name of the soundtrack. This part of the movie is called Coward. uh, so Matt Damon's character really defined the titling of this moment. Oh yeah, ebooks. I've done some ebooks through. I have a Amazon Kindle. So do you have a Nook, Ron? Do they still make Nooks? I have no idea. Okay, sweet. So they do. Okay, nice. Yeah, I wonder how they've changed. I haven't like shopped for ebooks or like e-readers in a really long time. I got a Kindle Paperwhite for Christmas, like probably like 4 or 5 years ago, and kind of stopped shopping around for them. All right, we're almost at the good part here. Dr. Man's like opening up the door and like pressing the buttons. Here we go. Kaboom. And he just blew up. And another doing the docking sequence, which is my favorite scene in the whole movie. And if you're a nerd like me, you listen to this scene in the car because it's so loud and you can like blast it in the speakers and uh, feel the shake of the road in the car and make it feel like you're Matthew McConaughey. Yeah, that's impossible. No, it's necessary line. Um, Cooper's basically saying, if I don't do this, we're gonna die. So we either die trying, or that's it. You know. All right, so now they're trying to just spinning underneath the endurance. They're trying to dock underneath right now. That's a good question, Ron. I just got the notification from YouTube as well for the mission control audio. So, what is that going to be like 30 minutes? Probably right during the end of the movie. But we could multitask. You're right. Maybe I'll have to do that. They're almost docked. They're still spinning, and the clamps grasped it. All right, they slowed the ship down. Cooper's gonna do his magic now, boosting out of the debris field. Such a cool scene. One of my favorite scenes in all of cinema history, really. Like other favorite scenes from movies, of course, are Lord of the Rings: Return of the King with the Ride of the Rohirrim scene as they do the horse charge into battle. It's like the number one scene of any movie ever for me. Docking scene in Interstellar. Gosh, drawing a blank on a couple others, but this one's definitely up there. Thanks for jumping in, Andrew. Appreciate it, man. Good to see you. Good talk with you yesterday, and we'll talk soon, man. Have great services tomorrow morning. Looking at the like broken up ship as they do that, like pan, um, they show like the ship looking just decrepit and falling apart and burnt, and it just nasty, nasty shot. You know, such a cool shot of the black hole right there too. Current runtime on the movie is 2 hours, 13 minutes, and 50 seconds. They're now preparing to slingshot around Gargantua to get to Edmund's planet. There's a line right there that has been bugging me. I've noticed that it's like not properly said, so I feel like it actually doesn't make sense. Tart says the only way humans have figured out of getting somewhere is to leave something behind. That doesn't make figured out of getting somewhere. Figure out how to get somewhere is to leave something behind. Yeah, it always bugged me. I can't believe they allowed that, you know? And it's just a dialogue recording. Like, certainly they would have had, you know, the chance to be like, hey, say that one more time, you know? Cool shot as they show the Endurance in the distance flying over the event horizon of the black hole. Camera went out of focus. There we go. And it mimics, I never thought about this, but it mimics the shot of them passing Saturn. I wonder if that is part of the visual comparison that they put you through. But it took me like 20 times to watch this movie to notice that. Small ship, big planet, you know? So now they're doing their booster burns past Gargantua right now. Yeah, and thinking about the time slippage and just how many years are going by every second, crazy. She makes that joke like you don't look so bad for pushing 120. Like he's 120 on Earth, but he's still the same age here as he's with her, right? Like, so you're two ages at once, really. Or you only the age depending on where you are. So he goes back to Earth. Is he 120? The big finale of the movie here. Music is the biggest it ever gets. We agreed, Amelia. 90%. Detach. There goes Cooper. Into the black hole. I do love Anne Hathaway's acting in this scene. Like, she does such a good job with it. Just the panic and the passion. Man, sinking into a black hole. Oof. From what I understand, you would basically be stretched apart into atomic levels and beyond by the gravity of going into a black hole. And obviously that doesn't happen in the movie. But if it did happen the way that it does in the movie in real life, just the terror of pitch black, nothing can light up your way. Just got to be mentally dismal. Never understood why he's like running into like glowing sand. They like spraying sand at his ship. It's just like stardust, I guess, which I guess mimics the dust happening on Earth too. But I guess everything from this point on is all the science fiction, the fiction part of science fiction. But it's like peppering them like a bunch of bullets. Like, how is the ship not just like, yeah, it's like starts falling apart. All at the meantime that everyone back on Earth is like dying. So now Murphy is starting to put together in her head, or at least attempt to determine who the ghost really was in her childhood room. Cooper's getting the eject message in his ship, which ejecting into the blackness of a black hole, I don't know what's better, staying in the ship or ejecting. You're going to die anyway. It's all relative. Yes, indeed. So here comes the moment where he enters the Tesseract. So now he's made it in. He's looking at all the like swirly bookshelf pieces that are in the Tesseract. can't imagine it would be like too to be in a place like this and to see your daughter as a 10-year-old again, knowing that she's an adult and aging well into an elderly person, and now seeing her as 10 years old again in this weird construct, you know? Man, Matthew McConaughey's performance is so good in this too. The like terror and fear he's got. Just infinite tunnels in every direction. We are currently 2 hours and 23 minutes into the movie. Still have a little bit left. I always wondered how they shot this, you know, how much of it is CG and how much of it is practical film. They just like shot the room at different angles on the soundstage and then just repurposed it. So here comes the tipping of the scales moment where Murph starts to figure out that it was her dad behind the bookshelf, just as Cooper is able to determine how to communicate with her. And this is where Christopher Nolan is a genius, because he's taking something that doesn't exist and trying to tell a beautiful story through it. And to get people to understand it and enjoy it at the same time is tough. And he kind of figures out that formula here. It's a simple concept. You don't have to understand the science behind it, but it's rooted in science, you know? And even if you don't understand the science, you understand characters and love and relationships, which is really what this scene is about. And enter Tars here, which is so great. Again, showing that he's completely loyal to the humans. So Tara says he's somewhere in their fifth dimension. So is he just floating somewhere else in these tunnels? Also, don't even want to think about how the people who made this movie designed this Tesseract realm, and how they animated it in a computer. It's just people are insane, and they only did this in a couple of years. Like you're probably isn't it easier to just like make the real thing at that point? you know? I know that's probably a dumb thing to say, but like, isn't it like this is so complex? How do people do this? And I like Tars' line, Cooper, people couldn't build this. Really, like that's how it feels. So they only show a little bit of him moving around, but if he's shifting through days or months worth of time, does it take him that long to do that? I wonder. Like to fly to that point in the Tesseract? So Cooper's figured it out now. He's sending the coordinates. So if Cooper's navigating this Tesseract world, like that means that the advanced humans who made it, what do they do? They just like mosey about in this multi-dimension world just for fun. Like, what's the point of them building it except for this to save the human race? Of that Topher Grace's character comes out with the freaking wrench, like the tire, like the lug nut wrench, you know, ready to smash some skulls. And the music goes from this big, epic, beautiful to this like tiny little piano, like more fun track here as Murphy's figuring out the equation. And Murphy threw the like equations over the ledge right there. He's yelling Eureka. So she solved the equation. What's even more mind bending is, you know, when Cooper solves it and he starts like pulling away and the world starts closing in, like with that, you just don't know what's going to happen next, which he literally asks, what happens next? Cool. So now he's going back through the wormhole. Side note, my chair is totally falling apart. I need to tighten the screws on this thing. You can hear that. Cooper is officially floating in space. He's made it through the wormhole and he's floating in front of Saturn. He's 124 years old. Dude, imagine looking like you're, you know, 45, but being 124. So the kids on this new spaceship, the big like cylinder spaceship, is they like hit a baseball and it goes up and it hits the house on the other side of the cylinder. Wouldn't they like forbid kids from playing baseball if that were the case? I wish they showed more of the scenes of Cooper acclimating and discovering stuff and like talking with people, and I want to see a little more reaction of like people being like, "Oh my gosh, dude, this guy's here. He's the reason we're all here right now." You know, this one guy who tours them around, and he kind of alludes to it. Like, I wrote a paper about you in high school, you know, that sort of thing. Bringing the original Cooper house almost seems like a like onto the cylinder feels a little bit like I don't know, a huge waste of space. You know, if you're gonna build a giant spaceship to bring all of humanity with, you probably need every square centimeter. And they're like, well, let's just like for nostalgia's sake build a museum, you know, out in the middle here, take up, you know, a couple square yard or uh, acres. Cooper is repairing TARS now. He just did the humor setting on TARS, and they keep like negotiating it down because TARS just keeps trolling him. Will we ever make a station like that? This giant cylinder. There's a name for it. I can't. There's like a name, like a person's name. I'm forgetting what it's called, but yeah, I wonder if they'll ever make something like that to transport people. They had something like that in The Expanse too. So Cooper's just walking in on Murph in the hospital, old Murph. Gosh, I can't imagine seeing my daughter being like 110 years old or something like that, and and I'm still like 45. You know. So we are 2 hours and 40 minutes into the movie. We're almost done here. Appreciate everybody who stuck around this whole time. Ron, thank you for engaging in the chat and keeping me sane. Sorry, I'm being quiet at this part. This is the deepest part of the movie. Cooper and Murph having a good discussion. Basically, I'm saying goodbye. Murph's got all of her family and kids and grandkids all around her. And here's Brand with Edmund's pod on the new planet. Yeah, I don't even know how fast the cylinder would have to spin. I mean, something that large. Here's Cooper in that awesome kind of OD olive drab spacesuit. Getting in these new nifty single pilot Ranger craft. Coming up from the final moments of the movie here. And Dr. Brand breathing the air. The last shot of the camp there that she set up, and okay, there's the credits. Movie's over officially. I mean, it's just crazy to think about, that now that Dr. Brand had it right, her gut feeling, her heart led her to Edmonds, and it was the right call. Cooper made the wrong call, and it cost them a lot of stuff, but it also worked out in a way that, they were able to get all the humans to survive, and they'll make it to Dr. Brand's planet. Amazing. Whew. Cool. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It was a slim crowd, but that's okay. It's first stream back in a while. And I know this is not the most exciting stream, just watching me lump up here in front of a TV, but it is what it is. So I had fun. I love watching this movie. Will I do any more watch parties like this? Probably. Maybe not next week, but we'll do a couple things like this in the near future, I think. I will definitely be bringing streams back. I am live streaming on TikTok quite regularly. I did a live stream of the moon through my telescope last night. As long as we have clear weather, I'll try to get out there and do that stuff. But yeah, it's been a really cool new chapter for the channel, and to do things on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube has been a really good time. So be on the lookout for more content on all of those things and on different platforms. And I think the best is yet to come for the Orbital Alliance. So the Interstellar is such a great movie. It's a deep thinker. There's always something new that I notice, and I certainly noticed a few minor details here and there. I had a more different thoughts about the plot, and I would love it if they made a second movie, but I also would be terrified that they would jeopardize what such an amazing thing this movie was. And I have heard nothing about a second movie ever coming out, so I'm going to assume that they're never going to do that. But yeah, I think I would love to know more about the story. So if they ever came out with something even like a book, that would be a pretty cool way to do it. I'd be all for it. Maybe I'll write a fan fiction. Let's do that. That wouldn't take a lot of time. But yeah, if they ever did, I'd be the first in line at the theater. That's for sure. So I hope you guys enjoyed hanging out, and I'm probably gonna sign off here because I'm starving and it's 11 o'clock and I feel like I want to get a snack before bed. So thank you guys very much again. Be sure to follow, subscribe on whatever platform you're watching, and we'll see you in the next stream. So thank you guys so much. See you all. Well, I'll hold off on this. Ron, I gotta say goodbye to you, man. Thank you for hanging out. I know you. There might be a couple other people here who've got the stream running. If you're all still there, say bye in the chat. Thank you, Ron. Hope you're doing well. Have a great Sunday tomorrow, and I hope you have a good time operating some cameras. Say hey to the gang and the rest of the folks there, and we'll see you in the next one. Cool. All right, guys. See you all on the other side.